Hey, what's up, George? Okay, perfect. Do you want the real answer or do you want like some scripted stuff? I would probably just say, work hard, don't give up, follow your dreams. Definitely don't. I guess the way I want to put it is like, don't take everyone else's opinion on what you should become, because that was kind of what happened to me. It's like, oh, you should be this and you should be that and you should go to college for this and I never really knew what I wanted to do, but I knew what I was passionate about, and I was always passionate about like customer service and meeting new people and being outgoing. So, like, because when I went to college, my dad was like, "You got to be a plastics engineer," and I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Yeah, they make like 90 grand coming out of college," and I was like, "Okay." And then it was 1 year into plastics engineering, and I was like, "I don't want to push a button for the rest of my life, making uh, plastic molds." So, I learned quickly, like, other people have their opinions and they have their suggestions, but just follow what is inside of you and what you want to do. Like, anything is possible. It truly is. If you work hard, you can definitely do that. So I would just tell myself to, put my head down, follow my dreams. You know, don't drink as much as I used to. You know, just things like that. Oh yeah, definitely. Enough for 3 lifetimes. Yep. Now, no mas. No mas. I don't drink anymore. It's been almost 15 years. Lots of different reasons. One of the reasons was that I was just a very heavy drinker. Started in college, and even after graduation, I just didn't stop. And I would travel for jobs over, and I didn't know anybody. So where would I meet people? I'd meet them at the bar. So I just continued this path until I was about 25, 26 years old, where I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't hold down a job. I couldn't hold down a girlfriend. I couldn't, I was not making any friends. And so finally I'd like hit a bottom, and I was like, man, if I'm going to do anything with my life, like, I got to put down the booze. And that's what happened, a little bit longer of a story, but, for the most part, I'll be vulnerable. I went to rehab. My family had an intervention with me, and that was interesting. Gave me an ultimatum: hey, either move out or go to rehab. 25 years old. And I was like, I got to think about this. So I thought about it for like 30 minutes, my alcoholic self. And I agreed to go to rehab, and I haven't drank since. And that was November, went to rehab on November 3rd of 2009, and got out of rehab on my mom's birthday, November 17th of 2009, and haven't had a drop of alcohol since. So yeah, coming up on 14 years. Yeah, you know. Exactly. Why do you like the hangovers, or the dumb things you can't remember you did, but you did. Um, there's some people that ask me, and then there's other people that don't ask me. It's common, and then people are like, well, can I drink around you? I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Like, I'm still the life of the party, whether I'm drinking or not. Like, I'm gonna have a good time. I just found that I could have a good time without drinking alcohol. So that was just one of those things, and blessed to be where I'm at today. I wouldn't be there if I was drinking. I can tell you that right now. I wouldn't have the wife. I wouldn't have the kiddos. I wouldn't have the house or the cars or the career, or wouldn't have found real estate. I don't know where I'd be or what I'd be doing. Uh, so yeah, by the grace of God, was able to have that desire lifted, and it's been amazing. So, oh man, that is such a loaded question and a tough one. But I think for me, the way I was raised, I would say the try and get rid of the lack of sensitivity. Like right now, everybody is sensitive to everything out there. Like you say something, you're gonna offend someone, and then they cancel you. And I grew up the oldest of five. you know and there was two brothers that I had, and two sisters. And we grew up poor for the most part. Didn't have a lot. My parents saved every penny they had. My dad was super frugal, I remember that. McDonald's was a treat for us back then. Um, but he always instilled in us, like, if you want something, you got to work for it, and doesn't matter what people say about you. That is just their opinion of you, and don't take it to heart, and don't let things offend you. Inside of you what you're capable of doing. And other thing is, don't sugarcoat anything. Say what you mean. you know don't not say something in life because you're worried about how that may come across to someone else, or that you may offend them. Like, I'm not saying go out there and be like a total a-hole, and be like that. um, but everyone is entitled to their opinions and what they say, and that's what freedom of speech is. um, so it's tough, because I look at my three boys, and how they're going to grow up in this world, and right now they're going to grow up where they can't say anything, because they're going to offend someone. And then it's just, I don't want that for them. I want them to be able to be individuals, to say what they want. Obviously be kind and be nice throughout the world. But kind of don't give in to this cancel culture or any other kind of stuff that's out there. That's that's something I really hope ends sooner rather than later. You know, um, the internet has really ruined us too. You've got all this negativity, and you've got this trolling, and so at the end of the day, it's just real bad cycle. And man, I want to get back to where kids just played outside all day and rode bikes and drank out of the garden hose, and scraped up their knees, not where they're stuck to an iPad for 8 hours a day. So and that's just me. I mean, that's the way I grew up. You know. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things we just have to deal with, and it's unfortunate. And the problem is that if you're out there and you believe something, you can get mad at me because I don't believe the same way you do. And to me, that's just totally wrong. No matter what. Like, I don't have to believe what you believe. If I want to raise my kids Christian, I want to raise them Christian. And you can't tell me that no, I should be raising them Jewish. I mean, that's just one of those things out there. You know. hmm so my boys are 10, 8, and 4. And my 10-year-old wants a phone really bad. He keeps telling us like he's the only one in fourth grade that doesn't have a phone. And I'm like, well, it's going to continue because I'm buying you a phone. So they each have an iPad and it's got restrictions on it. And they each have a Nintendo Switch. And, again, it's got some restrictions on it. But, for the most part, we try and limit that because we do know how detrimental that can be to child's health, to your vision, to, a lot of people are going to be like this, hunchbacks at a way younger age because all they're doing is looking at a device, you know, and, so, I already told my oldest, I said, listen, you can have a cell phone when you go to middle school, um, which is junior high, which is sixth grade. So he's like 2 years away from it. Um, but I mean, I could tell you, like, I didn't get a cell phone until I was 18. This is kind of when cell phones are really kind of coming out, yes, and being popular. But my parents said, listen, you want a cell phone? You go sign the contract, you pay for it, you're responsible for it. We're not doing it for you. Unfortunately, that doesn't work in today's age. Um, there's a lot of things out there, and if something goes wrong, I would hope he has the ability to call 911 or call us or whatever it would be. But yeah, we're holding that tight until he's in middle school here. Yeah, yeah, the technology advances. It's funny. You buy something 6 months later, it's already outdated. If not sooner. So that's just the culture and what we deal with in the world and the demand. I mean, everything's on demand now, 100%. Like you can't wait for anything. You know, it's true real estate. Like buyer calls you, you better call them right back. A seller calls you to list, you better call them right back. Otherwise, they're gonna find someone else that will. So I mean, it's just our on-demand call. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely evolved. Um, I've only been in the business 13 years, so my 13-year experience, yeah, we had cell phones and we did have the MLS, the multiple listing service, where all the properties were online and the internet. So I wasn't around when they used to have MLS books, which was this huge book that every office had, and it had all the listings of the area in it. And a buyer would have to come into your office and sit down with you and flip through the book and be like, I want to go see that house. And then an agent would have to call that office that has the listing, go over to that office, get a key, then drive the buyers to that property and open the door, show them around, then take the key back to the listing offices. And then, write up a contract. Well, contract was, hey, your buyers are still with you. We're going to fill this thing out right now. And then we're either going to fax it over or we're going to drive back over and hand it to a listing agent. So, not gonna lie, I'm glad I was not a real estate agent for those days because I don't know if I'd have the patience for that at all. But I guess back then that's just what they did, you know. Silly. I think so. I definitely think so. And that comes in a couple different parts. As soon as you put a listing live, millions of people can see it within 15 minutes. And I mean millions, potentially, because that's just how many sites will go out and syndicated and searches and stuff. So, that is kind of that on demand. But I think buyers also have this stigma that they're like, okay, I like this house, but what else is going to come on the market? And then they just kind of sit there until, another house comes on. Well, what if that house never comes on? And that's what I try and tell them. Like, hey, listen, you can sit here and you can hope that it comes on the market, or, flip through as many as you can until your eyes hurt. I said, but this one checks almost all the boxes. So let's go see it and let's, get this thing done. Mindset's everything, to be honest with you. If you have a negative mindset, you're not going to be a good business person. The general public's not going to trust you. Your customer service skills are probably terrible. But if you have a positive mindset, a positive attitude, a positive outlook, man, the sky's the limit. You can do almost anything, with that just attitude alone. And here's the other thing: people feed off your energy. So, like, if you got like Eeyore, like, who's gonna want to work with someone or show up to a restaurant or something where your server's like, "What do you want? A glass of water?" You know, no, they want someone to be like, "Hey, how are you? Thanks for joining us this evening. We're so excited," or "Hey, you ready to go look at some homes? Woohoo!" It's that attitude. It's that. Your energy, whatever you bring is what you're going to get out of it. And even if the person you're talking with doesn't reciprocate or match that energy, it's okay. Because a lot of times, especially for me, I can maintain that energy whether they're at my level or not. And they'll remember that always. So as a business owner, man, you better smile. You better, you know be out there, be happy, be smiling. So you never know who you're gonna meet either. Oh man, that's a loaded question too. Staying positive. I think staying positive for me is just I get to wake up every single day. I have so many blessings in my life. We have a roof over our head. We have vehicles to be able to drive and work. We're all healthy, which is, again, knock on wood, something special. Our boys are, for the most part, good boys. They have their moments where I want to, but it's that's just, dude, I live in Southwest Florida. It's beautiful, it's sunny all the time. Uh, that's kind of what I look at. You know, yeah, it's a little bit overcast. Although the clouds are going away. I think we're gonna have a nice sunny day. So, that, dude, I'm not dead. I'm still alive. I'm blessed. And, that's just kind of where the attitude comes from. Is it always 24/7, 365? No. But I can tell you it's more than it's not. I always just try and do that. I always tell them, like, listen, real estate is a numbers game. And so with that numbers game, like you just have to talk to so many people. If you talk to 100 people, hopefully anywhere from 2 to 5 of them, you can have future conversations with and maybe send properties or talk to them about listing their home or what it takes to list their home. So it's all about the numbers. It's getting yourself out there, and the last part would be building a pipeline. So just because you meet someone today, George, doesn't mean that they're going to buy a home from you tomorrow. It just doesn't happen. Okay. But you put them in a funnel, you stay in touch with them. And then when they're ready to buy, they should think of George, right? Or think of me. And so could that be 30 days? It could be 60, 90, could be a year. But here's the thing, if you stay up with them, then guess what? They're going to buy with you in a year, and that's future business, that's future commissions. So I always tell them, like, listen, keep your head up, keep pounding it, don't stop. So because if you stop, you know what you do today is going to actually pay off in 6 months from now. But if you wait until tomorrow, you're just putting this off and putting this off and putting this off. So that's one of my big strategies that I try and tell them. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. Yeah, it goes underwater, don't worry. Ooh, changing one thing about the industry. Um, I would have to probably go with, I'm currently with the agency, and the number one rule for the company is no assholes. And that's like one of the biggest things for me is like just don't be an a-hole at all. Just don't be that person. We all have to work together. We all have to play in the same sandbox. So, let's work together. Let's get deals done. Let's be nice to each other because all we have is our reputation. So we don't want to ruin that. So I would just say, you know, there's just too much bickering, fighting. You can't have my secret sauce. I'm the only one that can have it. No, there needs to be more collaboration. There needs to be more transparency. There needs to be more, working together and being nice and kind to each other. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that's missing and needs to be worked on. And it's not going to come easy, and not everybody has the personality to do that, but we're all professionals at the end of the day, you know and so when we get away from that and we start treating others, especially other fellow agents, bad, you'll get blacklisted easily. And again, your reputation will be tarnished. Why should someone want to move to Naples, Florida? So for me, and it's not just Naples, it's all of Southwest Florida. The office just happens to be in Naples, but number one reason is lifestyle. Okay. When you come down here, the lifestyle is unmatched. If you're a boater, we have some of the best boating in the world. If you're a fisherman or fisherwoman, some of the best fishing in the world. We have tons of outdoor activities. You've got pickleball and tennis. Golf, so many golf communities down here. You can walk and bike and trail everywhere. So, from that aspect, our residents actually live longer. We have 200 and I think it's 276 days of sunshine out of the year. If you go up north, they have about 100 less days. So like 160 days of sunshine. So, the quality of life is so much better, but we have the ability to allow every single person the lifestyle that they want. Whether it's outdoor activities or it really doesn't even matter. There's everything. Some of the best shopping, some of the best restaurants. It's all here in Southwest Florida, and you don't have to go far, and you don't have to be in a major metropolitan city to get everything that we have to offer. And I forgot one of the biggest things: the beaches. We have some of the most gorgeous beaches in the world in Naples, Florida. So, it's just we offer everything. There's nothing someone can say that says, "Oh, Naples doesn't have this," or "Southwest Florida doesn't have that." Yeah, we do. You're either not looking hard enough or you're not in the right part of town. To invest in, my personal favorite is where I live in Cape Coral, Florida. It's the third fastest growing city in America. Um, Tons of opportunity here. We're only 60% built out. There's 240,000 homes. We're scheduled to be about 400,000. So still got a long ways to go. But as we continue to build, the prices are just going to keep going up and up and up and up. It's that supply and demand sort of thing. So you can still get it at a great price. Um, you're not paying Naples prices or Bonita Springs prices or Marco Island prices. That's just my favorite, not because I live there, but because of the opportunity that's there. So whether you want to buy and hold, or if you want to buy and flip, if there are some flips out there, let me know, by the way. But that's just my personal preference and where I see the most opportunity for people to be. I have not. My investors have, but no, I have not recently. Been a little bit too busy, but it's one of my favorite things to do is to talk to an investor and get him excited about a property and what the potential could be. And I'm a big numbers guy, so I'm able to run those numbers and tell them if it makes sense or not. And every investor is different. I ask them, say, hey, what type of profit are you looking for? Are you looking for a percentage or are you looking for a dollar amount? Which one is it? And so, you know, eh, for me, it's just fun to do. I can also sit there and tell them, hey, you should knock out this wall and make it an open concept and, it'll be worth more money. Or, hey, you should use this type of natural stone instead of that type. I know you want to save a couple bucks. I said, but you could get a couple more thousand out of it by choosing this. So that's my favorite kind of stuff to do. Who goes to movie theaters anymore? Do you, George? Oh man. Oh man. No, I don't. Yeah, we don't do that here in America. No one goes anymore. Just kidding. Um, you know, for us, I want to say the beach, but we just don't go enough. Everyone says when they move down here, they're like going to go to the beach every single day. No, it doesn't happen. But we like to eat out. We're foodies, so we know where the best seafood places are, where the best Mexican joints are, the best sushi, um, best place to get a steak, local fare, whatever it is. So they're all over the place. It's really not one go-to spot. it's kind of like, hey, I'm in the mood for this kind, and then we just hit that up. So that's probably where we spend a lot of our time. That and sports, super involved with the kids' sports, whether it's flag football or it's soccer, or you like to call it football. No, it's not. It's soccer. Whatever. Um, so yeah, I mean, yeah, there you go. You agree with me. Thank you. No. Real estate. I mean, there's some people that tell you, yeah, but no. Um, it, if if you look at the numbers, real estate is definitely not a side hustle if you want to make it your career. There are some people, I mean, the joke in Florida is, hey, you move to Florida, you get a driver's license, and with that driver's license, you get your real estate license, and that's the reality. I mean, we have, I think at the last I knew, like 225,000 licensed real estate agents in the state of Florida. We're actually the largest in the country, for that count. I think we're up to like 15% of all real estate agents in the country are in the state of Florida. So, are there a lot? I think everyone's goals are different. If you want to make this your career, your profession, you got to be into it 100%. You can't do anything else. Can't use it as a side hustle. You just will never gain any momentum or any traction if you're trying to do it like that. But I know some people that are part time and they sell two homes a year and they use it as their travel money. But anyone that wants to make it, you got to be into it 100%. Can't be around the edges. It's super tough to have one or two other jobs and try and do real estate. Like, you got to dive in head first. Yep. So actually, here's a stat for you. So 87% of newly licensed agents fail within the first 2 years. It's a crazy big stat. So if you think about that, when I'm going through everything with like new agents and I'm teaching or whatever I'm doing, I tell them like, are you going to be part of the 13% or not? And that's a reality. So, from the standpoint of if you're a new agent and you're trying to do it, yeah. I mean, you may have to have another job until you can get your business going, but you have to make sure that you put in enough time into real estate. Like, you can't be like, hey, I'm going to spend 3 hours on it a week and I'm going to be this multi-million dollar producer. No, like, for me, when I first started out, I was still waiting tables and bartending. But here was my plan. I was in the office at 8 a.m. every single morning. I left the office by 3 or 4 p.m. and I went to wait tables or bartend until like midnight. And then I'd get up and I'd do it all again the next day. And I did that for probably like a year and a half. Um, but I never stopped like going to the office and learning and meeting with my mentor and, going to see what was on the market. I dedicated that time. And then on weekends, I would do open houses. So, if you're gonna try part time, or you're gonna try and have another job until you can get this thing rolling, you definitely need the dedication to both sides of it. hmm You have to commit. That's the thing. Like, you can't expect business to just. You've got to be out there and you got to be hustling and you got to be grinding. you know, unless you're the luckiest real estate agent in the world and deals just fall in your lap and, you're this multi-million dollar producer. It doesn't happen that way. That'd be short lived, anyways. No, gosh dang! I wish I got my license when I was 18. 100% wish. I think a lot of real estate agents, if you were to ask them, they would say, "No, I wish I got it at 18." Such a awesome, fulfilling career that, if I had got it at a younger age, I'd be in a different league, than I am now. But I still got it pretty young. Still I was in my late 20s when I got my real estate license, which is still on the very younger side of this business. I think the average age is like 60, no, like 58, I think. So, 58 years old. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a lot of older, demographic people. But, for me, yeah, I definitely wish I got it at 18. So, I mean, I will tell you that from my experience, unless you're pumping a ton of money into those, it's really not worth it. And that's just my experience. For some other people, yeah, it works great. But whenever I tried to do that, whether I was purchasing leads in like Realtor.com or Zillow or wherever else it might have been, my return on investment was never that good, never that good ever. So um, there's so many other ways to generate leads. Um, and for me, the leads that you do outside of kind of those sites are typically more genuine leads, and they're going to lead to multiple business opportunities versus someone just, doing some clicks on Zillow and happen to find you and call you. And, that's I mean, that happens for agents and it works. But from my experience, like from Zillow, like you've got to spend a ton of money to be at the top of any zip code here. And so, and I mean, when I talk about a ton, I'm talking about like anywhere from like 8 to like 25 grand a month. It's not cheap. Yeah. It could get extreme. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Or meeting people in grocery stores. I know we've talked about that in the past. you know, and that depends on it. I'm not saying, yeah, I'm not saying don't do it, but I would say be smart about it. That's the other thing. Like people like, should I pay for Google ad clicks? Man, unless you're spending a ton of money, you're not even going to show up on the pages. And then you're wasting money every single time someone's like click, 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 click. You know, it's just some people I've heard do it out of spite. I mean, whatever, but just not my business plan. Not what I recommend either. Um, Probably not. And I would tell you, so that celebrity is probably good at what got them to be a celebrity. I mean, you take some top people like take Michael Jordan or LeBron James. If we talk about basketball for a second, those guys were good at basketball. Just because they're success and two of the best players to ever play the game, that will not translate into being like the number one and two real estate agents of all time. It's just not that. They have talent for one thing. Um, you know, could it happen? Maybe. Um, I don't. I know very little celebrities that have actually made it big time in the real estate world. There are a couple, But for the most part, I just don't see the correlation. Just because you're a great actress or actor doesn't mean you're going to make a great real estate agent. So they may know some high net worth people, but again, those high net worth people, are they going to trust their friend, Jen and Ben? Or are they going to trust their real estate agent they've worked with for 25 years that's helped them with every single transaction and knows what they're doing? No, I think it could happen. I definitely think it could happen. I think the problem, though, is that human interaction is still going to be a big part of the buying and selling process. Um, and are you going to trust a robot to be able to, they may be able to give you the facts of like a property or tell you if it's a good buy, but they're not going to be able to go into that home and be like, listen, there's a cracked foundation. This home isn't worth it, or hey, we've got to negotiate this, some repairs off, or, so I would say that there would be some benefits to AI. I'm sure it would maybe streamline the process in some of the aspects of it. But I think overall, that human connection, the knowledge of the business, not just, pulling numbers from, wherever they're able to get their data from. Um, but and then connecting with vendors that might be good to help repair the property. So like, I think, you can't just call any Joe Schmo in the yellow pages. It's not going to work. So I think some aspects would be very helpful with AI and streamline stuff, but overall, I don't believe AI can replace real estate agents, at least not in this day and age, to where the consumer feels comfortable going with an AI virtual real estate agent versus an actual one. What kind of car? It's funny. There are some perceptions out there. What I see a lot of my highly successful real estate agents driving is, a Land Rover, a Range Rover, or a G Wagon, an expensive BMW. Those are kind of, what I see out there. I mean, for me, I don't want to drive a G Wagon. Those things are so uncomfortable to drive in. Like, I don't care how cool it looks. Like, I'm more of like a functionality thing. I could tell you when I first got into real estate, I still remember this. I bought a used Lexus ES 350, um, the old uh, grandma getter upper, and because I thought that that's what real estate agents needed to drive, and I can afford it at the time. And then, we had our first kid, and I was like, man, I got to trade this in. And I got a Toyota Camry hybrid. And I remember I was showing around people in this, you know, this old, Toyota Camry hybrid. And, and I was showing $1 million homes in that. It never equated to any business. But I would hope that they weren't not going to buy with me because I wasn't driving a Range or a BMW, Mercedes, or Lambo, Ferrari. So I don't know. I mean, if you know your stuff, who cares what kind of car you drive? You know, and that's just me. But I will tell you, the ultra luxury buyers, they will judge you by the vehicle you drive, 100%. You know, Exactly. I mean, who cares to go and lease a white BMW? You should take that money, invest it back in your business, and in 2 to 3 years, you get whatever vehicle you want. You know, versus trying to do the perception thing. So buying that, let's just use that for example. Buying that white BMW is not going to equate to closings and more money. It's just not. Whether some people want to try and believe it or not, that the two do not correlate. Going to buy a boat so that you can take people to waterfront properties is not going to correlate into closings. It's just not. It's a very small select few that it's going to cater to. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've heard stories. I haven't actually known personal. Yeah, I mean, you can lose your license a couple different ways. One of them is you do not do your continuing education, which every single state has, so that you can keep up on the newest things. So if you don't do that, your license could go null and void or could go inactive to where you cannot practice real estate until it's brought back to active. If you do some egregious stuff, I think the biggest thing where you could lose your license is if you try and take advantage of the public. That's one of the biggest thing for real estate and real estate agents and the code of ethics that we have is to never take advantage or try and screw the general public out there. If you do, there's a really good chance you will lose your license. So the National Association of Realtors and the Florida Association of Realtors and our code of ethic and our boards make sure that we're always taking care of the general public. I mean, we already get a bad rap. A lot of people are like, oh, real estate agents, they're just like used car salesmen. Like, no, we're really not. But, that's just a perception. So if you do something wrong and wrong the public, well, then that's just going to get magnified. And we will start being like used car salesmen selling you a lemon just, to get a sale and get a small commish. Yeah. Yeah. That's probably the biggest thing you can lose. So if you don't do the continuing education, yes, you can come back. You just make up whatever you have to make up, and then you can put your license back active. But if you lose your license because you're taking advantage of the general public, they're probably going to ban you for life, and they'll ban you every single state. So it's not just in the state that you're practicing in. Because when you go to a new state and you join a new board, they need a letter of good standing. Well, if you lost your license in the state of Florida, you're not. No other state's going to allow you to get a real estate license. It just doesn't happen. So, yeah, yeah, 1,000%. Just do it the right way. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, no, I got about 5 more minutes. I do what I do every single day because I love it. I mean, one of the biggest reasons is that every single day is different. It's never the same in real estate. You'll never write the contract the same way. You're never going to meet the same people, the same interests. Like everything is different every single day, and that's probably the number one reason why I love it. Because it's ever changing. It's not like, we talked about earlier, the plastics plant where I'd go into work and I would push a button for 8 to 12 hours, and then I'd go home, and then I'd go in the next day and I'd do the same thing. That's not what I wanted to do. So, you know, plus, I mean, the other two things are unlimited earning potential. You can make as little or as much as you want in this business. And then the other thing would be freedom of time. You know, as a real estate agent, you can really set your own time and your own schedule versus, hey, I've got to go to this 9 to 5, and if I don't show up, I'm not going to get paid, sort of deal. So, more flexibility. No, never retire. Um, I think for me, I'm always going to be involved in real estate in one way, shape, or form, whether it's going to be investing or, um, still selling when I'm 85 years old with a walker. It's just going to be fun. It's not a job. You know what job stands for? Just over broke. That's what job stands for. So, for me, it's the freedom, it's the fun, it's the different thing every day. So yeah, when I'm 85 years old, I will definitely still be selling real estate. No doubt about that. I think one of the biggest things I learned was don't panic, because things are going to happen, whether it's locally or statewide or nationally or internationally. Don't panic. We're going to get through this. Because I think when COVID hit, it was just like pure chaos and what's going to happen, and we're all going to die and this and that. I mean, that could have happened. I'm not saying it couldn't have, but I was freaking out because I didn't have a job to go to. I didn't have a 9 to 5 salary. We had 4 deals under contract, and all four of them canceled. And so it was like, what am I going to do? We have no money coming in. The government's talking about bailing us all out and giving us checks and all this stuff. And, it's just pure panic. But, what happened out of that, and we're blessed to live in the state of Florida because the state of Florida stayed open, um, and deemed real estate agents to be a viable business. And so we were able to sell. And the cool thing is so like COVID really became a bigger thing in like February, March. By May of 2020, we were already back at it. We were rolling. I mean, things were just moving so fast. And a lot of it was because, the state of Florida was open. So people didn't want to be locked down in the states they were. So they said, screw it. I can work remotely. Let's move to Florida now instead of in 5 years. Um, and so from May 2020 to May of 2022, the wife and I think we did 75 transactions or 80 transactions roughly, for about $26 million. So we had a very big run in that time frame. And it, it was great. So, but I can tell you, February, March, and April, I was like, what's happening? The sky is falling. Everything's going to. So yeah, going back, just don't panic. Like things are gonna work out. They really are. And so that's kind of my experience and what I learned, from that kind of COVID lockdown, crazy time that we all experienced across the world. It wasn't just us; it was everybody.